support women, to support all people, to get rid of Trump, to encourage people to vote, because that's the only thing that's ever going to change, is if we vote thumbs out. So
I am here to stand with these wonderful people against what I see as the tyranny coming out of Washington and Raleigh. Particularly around women's rights, around LGBT rights, around healthcare rights, around fair elections, to name just a few. I think what's most important about an event like today is that we individually realize that we are not alone and that we have lots of allies, and if we just continue to stick together, we can make a difference. And that's why I'm so excited to be here.
I'm here with the Airline of Jews for Justice because we are concerned that women's rights have not become rights for all people. This has been a year where we have seen over and over again women's rights, women abused, women's rights abused, abortion issues, equality, wages have not changed one bit, and we are going to continue to fight for these issues for women and for all people as long as we can.
Well, we do. We support women, and we know our country is going in the wrong direction, and we have to make a statement that says we are for all people. How's that?
Great, thank you. Anything else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, same question. Why am I here?
Yeah.
This is really important. We've got to make some noise, and we've got to get people out to vote. Power to the polls is the hashtag. Yeah. I think I've got it there. Yeah, power to the polls, and that's critical. And of course, I just wanted a chance to swear in public, so here you go.
I'm here to support all women, to make a stand on immigration and how our country needs to unite and move forward and really come from a place of inclusion and love and acceptance. And so I'm here just to let my voice be heard, because for too long, women, and specifically Latino women and women of color, haven't had their voice heard. That's why I'm here.
You hold your sign up. Let me move back a little bit.
Hey everyone, I'm Sarah Kate Head, and I'm also a junior at Asheville High. I just wanted to thank everyone for coming out. It means so much that we have everyone here. I'm not gonna lie, we were expecting maybe 100 people. Doing something like this, we did not expect this many people to come out. And I just wanted to thank you all for being so patient with us having to change the route and everything. It's just been so helpful that you guys have been so supportive and enthusiastic about it all. And our main concern today is your safety. So I wanted to talk about how we can keep you safe. As you know, this is a sidewalk march. We want us all to be responsible, and I know you guys will be, but we just want everyone to stay on the sidewalks, listen to the march facilitators. We just don't want anyone getting hurt, and we want this all to just go smoothly, and I'm excited. I'm going to pass it on to Izzy Freirich. She is a sophomore at Asheville High, so.
Thank you guys so much for coming out today. I wanted to share a little bit about our message this year. Sorry. Hi guys, my name is Isabel Freirich. I'm 15 and I'm one of this year's March organizers. Thank you. This year the March has been primarily organized by myself and 3 other young women who believe in this movement and have been inspired by our local community to continue the change of last year's March. Through working on the March this year, our mission has become to focus on engaging youth. As young members of this community, we have been honored to have the opportunity to work on a movement of this caliber, because as a young woman witnessing the challenges present today in the United States, our message this year is to youth. This process has made us realize how vital the involvement of young, energetic communities is, not just to the Women's March, but to every movement we put faith in to challenge the injustice we see. this change does not necessarily start with those who are old enough to run for office, to vote, or to even drive past 9 p.m. Change is inspired by those who want to see a difference in their communities. What we want to convey here today to everyone is that we want this movement to get more young people involved in creating the future. It does not matter how old you are. If you are unsatisfied with the state of politics, your local community, or issues that are important to you, it is your responsibility to stand up for what you believe in. On that note, I will pass it off to Aiden Justice, who will introduce our speakers. Hey guys, ooh, can you hear me? How are y'all doing? Okay, so like she said, I'm Aiden Justice. I'm also a sophomore at Asheville High, and I was the volunteer coordinator this year. So I'd like to start off by thanking everyone for coming out. Like Sarah Kate said, I was blown away by the amount of people who showed up today. I can't begin to tell you how much I appreciate it. Louder? You can tell I don't get out much. Yeah, so I can't begin to tell you how much I appreciate this. So I'd also like to extend a special thank you to the volunteers who donated their time to help us. Without you, none of this would be possible. A special note to those who are march facilitators. It's up to you when you would like to leave to get into your positions. It's up to you when you'd like to leave to get in your positions, but yeah, and if you have any questions, please find me afterwards. I'll be right by this big old banner. So, yeah, oh, also afterwards, there's going to be an open mic led by my good friend Amanda over here, and so you can come to that, say what you're feeling, please feel free to do so. At Vance, that's going to be at the very end. Okay, so I know you want to know who the speakers are, so I'm here to announce that. First, we have Mayor Esther Mannheimer. Following her is Councilwoman Shanika Smith. After that, we have Michelle Padron. She is from Homeward Youth Poetry, and she's also an Asheville graduate. After that, we have Gina Colias, who is hopefully the future Congresswoman in the 10th District. Following her is Nikki Harris from Planned Parenthood. And Angelica Reza Wind, she is the Executive Director from from Our Voice. And then finally, we're going to finish up with State Senator Terry Van Dyne. So much, and I'm going to pass it off to Esther.
Good morning, marchers! All right, can you hear me? Awesome! All right, marchers, a lot has happened in this last year. You have been marching, not just you, but your daughters. Here they are. And your sisters, and your mothers, and your grandmothers, and brothers. Thank you, brothers. You marched so that now women everywhere can say, "Me too." You marched, and the men said, "I'm sorry." You marched, and the employer said, "He's fired." You marched, and the most women ever signed up to run for office. You marched, and Doug Jones, not Roy Moore, is Alabama's newest senator. You marched, and this past election, the Asheville City Council became a majority women for the first time ever. You marched, and this strong group of teenage women organized this march. But marching? No! No, you cannot stop marching. March on! That is what today's theme is all about. March on. March on until we can say a eulogy to yesterday. Yesterday, when women had to put up with unequal pay. Yesterday, when our elected leaders denigrated women. Yesterday, when women's health was not treated as a right deserving of all women. And yesterday, when there was no woman president. That is the yesterday I want to say a eulogy to. So you must march on. But now you know, yes. But now you know your collective power. And the people know your collective power. You must use this power and march on. You must march for our daughters. You must march for tomorrow. You must march for our future. And you must march for you. Thank you.
How is everybody today? I'm gonna move away from the speaker so I can really yell out. Right? I'm one of those women who signed up to run for election. And I have to tell you today, that it was not my personal aspiration to be an elected official. And I still don't think it was the smartest decision for me to put myself in the clutches of public scrutiny and public pressure and under the great weight of such a responsibility while raising two young girls of color in a society that tells them that their blackness isn't beautiful and their gender identity will always be second best. But there was something about the Black Lives Matter movement that lit a fire in me that I wanted to keep kindled for generations to come. It was something about the Black Lives Matter movement that gave me the right to be fierce and speak truth to power. In the hustle, I found my superpower, and that is courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. It didn't mean that while I was campaigning that I didn't face the cup of dread, self-doubt, and sometimes I fumbled, and sometimes I folded, and sometimes I felt that I was inadequate and underprepared. But somewhere between dusk and dawn, I was charged to renew my mind, trading in all of my shortcomings and that stinking thinking for a brave new heart. A la carte. It starts and it ends with what you let take root in your heart. Our hearts are often like our purses, full of crap that we don't really need. And oftentimes we have to dump out some of the most embarrassing things in order to find our keys. Our keys. Our keys are the tools that we need to unlock our sanity, our self-worth, and our peace. I don't want to be before you long because I want to hear Michelle Padron. She's a younger lady who's going to take the baton. But before I take my seat, I must admit that I had to unpack my purse before I came here in order to show up today, because I understand that many of my dear friends and my constituents could not or would not stand in solidarity with us today. Those are trans women of color, dreamers, the disabled, and other women who are impaired socially, emotionally, and mentally. For a number of reasons, they felt that there was no room here in our collective purse for their experience, for their grief, and for their self-struggle. So I urge you today, to unpack your purse of every moment and rid yourself of everything that you would like to personally achieve today to make room for another woman's dignity. great task before us, and intersectionality is what we need in order to fight the fight before us. Because if one of us is bound by racism, if one of us is bound by poverty, if one of us is bound by militarism, by materialism, mass incarceration, mass deportation, then none of us are free.
Good morning. My name is Michelle Padron, and I'm going to read a poem. In which the news trips out of my mouth, in which I watch the sparkle in Jasmine's eyes go out, and food unmasticates itself, falls out of mouths and onto ceramic. Jasmine tells me she doesn't even know how to live in this country. I ask her when the country I was made in stopped wanting me. We are dry-eyed, but Jasmine looks flame into me, and soon I become kindle. We all call our dads and tell them we love them, tell them I forgive you. And though it feels like the sun sets in reverse, in that moment they don't make carnage out of home, and they don't choose ignition over broken bread. They want to protect every part of us, the brown parts and the queer parts, or at the very least they pretend to. Then it is the time in which my dad assures me I have nothing to worry about. Jasmine's dad tells her we've made a fortress too strong for one beast to spoil. Amber's dad says our economy is crumbling, but our eyes have been rolling into the back of our heads for months. At school, it is winter. It is frigid. I am frightened. Amber and I talk about our hair and how it begs to be even when we beg not to. We promise to text each other when we get to our rooms. Tonight we get home safe. But the day the cops show up in the caf, I watch Amber become less Amber. Jasmine less Jasmine. Amber tells me she wants to teach me the trick, the disappearing act she learned from her mother, a generation's old wilting of the spine, eyes cast down deep enough to suggest you're not even there. She tells me she's worried about me. I'm too loud when I should be quiet, too quiet when I should say something, and you know, sometimes, when things feel full, good full, when walls are walls and we feel safe between them, and there are no reminders of a demagogue or a country that disintegrates like softening fruit. I watch Jasmine become more Jasmine, in her laughter, loud and like she's daring you, like a so what. And that's my favorite trick, and that's all I want. A forever of so whats, or even just 4 years. Pleasure of introducing our next speaker. She's a socially liberal Republican candidate running in the 10th District for Congress against Patrick McHenry. Pro-choice and a self-proclaimed feminist, she promotes rational, ethical, science-based policies. Please help me welcome Gina Colias.
Hello! Are we feeling empowered? My name is Gina Colias, and I am a pro-choice feminist! I am running for the United States Congress for District 10! There's only one Democratic candidate for District 10 in the congressional race, and he will not have a primary, but I will! And I am here to convince you to pull a Republican ballot on May 8th for Gina Colias. Let me tell you why. We need a bipartisan fix to the ACA for health care. We need tax reform that actually helps the 99% of us they left behind. We need to restore net neutrality. We need to reverse climate change. Your paycheck investments for Social Security and Medicare need to be protected. Now, I teach my children not to lie, and I teach them to be kind to all people. But when elected officials take actual facts and make them fake news, does that mean we're holding our children to a higher standard than our leaders? The events of this year have compelled me to run for Congress. I am a progressive, rational Republican. Yes, you heard that right, a Republican. But I put country over party. And I will not be complicit like our current congressman. We need more women in Washington. I'm standing up for the values that we share together. I will work across the aisle so we don't have a shutdown. And champion legislation that helps all of our families in North Carolina. But some don't want a progressive woman in this race. I was told, don't challenge that ultra-conservative career politician who's bought and paid for Patrick McHenry. Challenge him! But Gina Colias doesn't need their permission! So how do I win the Republican primary against 3 ultra-conservative candidates in our very gerrymandered red district? We work together to get a progressive woman elected. I am not taking corporate money, so I need your help to get out the word to all independents, all unaffiliated, to pull a Republican primary ballot on May 8th and vote Gina Colias. Whoever wins the Republican primary on May 8th may very well find themselves in Washington. And I want it to be a progressive woman and not the congressman career politician we have now. Please check out my website. It's GinaColiasForCongress.com. Make a donation, sign up to volunteer, and spread the word, because this is our chance to take our country back from the alt-right. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Nikki Harris. She's the Director of Philanthropy for Planned Parenthood.
Good morning. Let me start by saying Planned Parenthood is extremely proud to stand with you today. We are proud to march in Asheville and to be a part of the hundreds of sister marches taking place across the nation today. It's been 1 year since nearly 5 million people marched across the globe to protect our rights, our safety, our health, our families, and recognize that our vibrant and diverse communities are the strength of our country. There's no denying that this past year has been a hard one. Every week seems to bring another controversy, and many of us have asked ourselves, is the work we're doing making a difference? For anyone who has ever wondered, do my calls matter? Do my letters matter? Does marching work? Hear me when I say yes. Think back with me to last summer when not 1, not 2, not 3, but 3 times we fought to save the Affordable Care Act and fought against the defunding of Planned Parenthood. We fought to ensure that women and families can continue to access prenatal care and breastfeeding support. We fought so that being a woman will never again be considered a pre-existing condition. We fought so that millions of women, men, and young people who rely on the life-saving care that Planned Parenthood provides can continue to walk through our doors every single day. For these reasons and so many more, we send the message loud and clear that we won't ever go back. Yes, these are challenging times, scary times, but we've been down this road before and we know the way back. For over a century, Planned Parenthood has fought to provide basic health care and to make our society safer and more equitable in every community that we serve. Let me say, no fight has been harder than the one we've waged here in Western North Carolina over the past few years against politicians intent on rolling back the clock on women's health. And you have fought with us every step of the way. This past year has also brought hugely important wins for progressive candidates from Virginia to Alabama and across the country, signaling the beginning of change that we must fight hard to continue, not just in 2018, not just 2020, but beyond. This year we saw that women aren't just standing in solidarity and demonstrating our power in the halls of Congress. No, in 2017, we took our fight for full equality into our workplaces, our personal relationships, our neighborhoods, and our communities to say to the world, me too. The Me Too movement has just begun to shed light on truth we've whispered about for decades. And this movement is demonstrating that actions at long last have real consequences. For far too long, perpetrators of violence counted on our voices not being heard or believed. And through our collective power of speaking up and sharing our stories, we are finally seeing that our voices matter. Time's up! Together, we call on our communities to say, time's up! Time's up for a culture that degrades and devalues women. Time is up on a society that shames women for our real lived experiences. Together, we call on our legislators in North Carolina and D.C. to hear us today, loud and clear. We are the people affected by your attacks on the values that we hold dear, and we will fight to protect our basic rights to health care and self-determination. Together, we call on our fellow citizens to register to vote and use that power at the ballot box, where we know that we can make a real change. And today, I'm calling on you to renew your will and to believe in the strength of your convictions so that we will collectively be ready to take this march into the halls of power to stand up for women's health and rights, LGBTQ equality, racial justice, and voting rights. Because we know that we are stronger, our voice is louder, and our path to victory more sure when we stand together. Many of you all know that our tagline, we have several Planned Parenthood taglines. The one that I think that resonates so much with all of us is care more, judge less. We did this last year, and I think we need to do it again. I want to dedicate this to our amazing health center staff, our patients who trust us with their health care, and our amazing supporters who make our service a possibility. Will you join me so that everyone from City Hall to DC hears us loud and clear? Care more, judge less. 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 It is now my privilege to introduce Executive Director for Our Voice, Angelica Reza Wind.
It's a little windy. Yeah, use it right here if you don't mind. Hermanas del movimiento y aliados, en los últimos meses, nuestra nación ha presenciado una multitud de sobrevivientes que han revelado a ser afectados por violencia sexual. Algunas de estas personas tuvieron el valor a decir yo también por primera vez. Muchas de los sobrevivientes se han sentido empoderadas a decir su verdad sin temor de ser avergonzadas o no ser creídas. Hemos visto el hashtag MeToo transformarse de un momento a un movimiento. Y mientras que este movimiento ha crecido, hay muchas voces que aún siguen siendo minimizadas o silenciadas. La verdad es que por cada mujer afroamericana que reporta su violación, hay 15 mujeres afroamericanas que no lo hacen. 75% de las inmigrantes trabajadoras domésticas siguen sufriendo acoso sexual en el trabajo. Más que una de cada mujeres navitas serán violadas en su vida. Una persona con discapacidad es 7 veces más propensa a sufrir violencia sexual que una persona sin discapacidad. Y el 64% de las personas que se identifican como transgénero sufrían violencia sexual. Hace un año nos reunimos para lanzar nuestras voces y enviar un fuerte mensaje a los legisladores que seremos vigentes sobre la protección de nuestros derechos, nuestra salud y nuestra seguridad. Sin embargo, en el último año hemos visto la erosión de nuestros derechos y protecciones, desde las políticas racistas de inmigración, los ataques a los derechos reproductivos y la reducción de las protecciones del título 9 a meras migajas de sugerencias cómo abordar la violencia sexual en el campus universitario. Hemos visto políticas que no han hecho nada, pero silenciar los sobrevivientes de la violencia sexual, solo permitiendo que los autores cometen de nuevo. Sin embargo, hoy les decimos a los legisladores, el tiempo se ha acabado. Ya basta. Niegas nuestra verdad. Cierras los ojos ante nuestra honestidad. Pero tu complicidad no nos silenciará. Nuestras voces solamente crecen más fuertes. Lucharemos contra el patriarcado, el racismo, la xenofobia, el capitalismo, la transfobia y todas las otras opresiones que contribuyen a la violencia sexual. No seremos desalentadas. Lucharemos por nuestros derechos y por los derechos de las personas que no se parecen a nosotras y que no comparten los privilegios que con nosotras. Nuestro poder está en el voto. Votaremos por candidatos que creen que todos merecen una vida con dignidad, una vida libre de violencia sexual. Nos volveremos como candidaturas contra ustedes y hablaremos la verdad al poder. Aunque nos tiemblan nuestras voces, emplearemos nuestro poder político para crear un cambio transformativo donde hay una verdadera igualdad y oportunidades. Hoy marchamos aquí. Basta ya. Mañana marchamos a votar. Sisters of the movement and allies, in the past few months, our nation has seen an unprecedented number of sexual assault survivors disclosing, some for the very first time. Many survivors have felt empowered to speak their truth without fear of being shamed or not being believed. We have seen a hashtag transform itself from a moment to a movement. And while this movement is growing, there are many voices that have been minimized or quieted altogether. The truth of the matter is that for every African American woman that reports her rape, there are 15 African American women that don't. 77% of immigrant Latina domestic workers report being sexually harassed on the job. More than 1 in 3 American Indian women will be raped in their lifetime. A person with disabilities is 7 times more likely to experience sexual violence than a person without disabilities. And 64% of people that identify as transgender will experience sexual violence in their lifetime. A year ago, we gathered to raise our voices and send a strong message to policymakers that we would be vigilant about protecting our rights, our health, and our safety. And yet, in the past year, we have seen the erosion of our protections and our rights. From racist immigration policies, attacks on reproductive rights, and the reduction of Title IX protections to mere suggestions on how to address sexual violence on college campuses. We have seen policies that do nothing but discourage survivors of sexual violence from coming forward, only allowing for perpetrators to perpetrate again. However, today, we say to these policymakers, time's up. Enough is enough. You deny our truth. You brush aside our honesty. But your complicity will not silence us. Our voices only grow stronger. We will stand up against patriarchy, racism, xenophobia, ableism, transphobia, and all the other oppressions that contribute to sexual violence. We will not be deterred. We will fight for our rights and the rights of individuals that do not look like us or hold the privileges that we have. Our power is at the polls. We will vote for candidates that believe that everyone is deserving of a life of dignity, a life free of sexual violence. We will run against you, and we will speak truth to power, even if our voices shake. We will harness our political power to create transformative change where there are true equal opportunities. Today we march here. Time's up. Tomorrow we march to the polls. Thank you. And now I have the honor of introducing North Carolina State Senator, the Honorable Terry Van Dyne.
I cannot tell you how proud I am to be with you today. What a wonderful group of North Carolinians dedicated to the proposition that all people are created equal and deserving of respect. I remember remember standing with you 12 months ago. I think we were all a little shell-shocked and saddened that suddenly our country seemed to forget what America stands for, and that equality is for all, not just for some. Your presence here reminds us that that is not okay. To our president and elected officials that believe that the American dream should only apply to them, we say enough. Women, particularly young women, have reminded us this year that sexual abuse, sexual harassment, sexual discrimination can no longer be tolerated. They stood up, and we stand with them to say enough. Women's rights are human rights, and although they are guaranteed in the Constitution, we know that is not our reality. It is time to pass the Equal Rights Amendment now. So, to the president, who routinely attacks the free press, making a mockery of the truth, we say enough. To the president, who seeks to legitimize discrimination against our LGBTQI brothers and sisters, we say enough. To the president, who excuses racism and incites hatred solely based on the color of one's skin, we say enough. To the growing lack of compassion for the sick, for the elderly, for the mentally ill, for those battling with addiction, we say enough. Sorry. And to the Supreme Court, with all due respect, we say please, enough. Please put the rights of people ahead of public officials and put an end to political gerrymandering now. But you all know it is not enough to just speak out. We must take the reins of power if we are really going to make a difference. There is still so much to do. North Carolina, once a beacon of progressivism in the South, is now, quite frankly, run by tyrants who will not stop until they've rigged not just our government, but our entire economy in their favor. And their latest attacks on our judiciary, they will not stop until they've packed our courts with judges that are beholden to them and that will accede to their demands. So stay active, run for office, call me if you're so inclined, I want to help. If that's not your path, find a way to support candidates who will stand against this tyranny. Vote, 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 and together. When I look out at this wonderful, wonderful crowd, I know we will prevail. So thank you all for being here. Now, we're going to wrap up this part, but a couple of things first. First, I want to thank, and I want to get their names right, I don't want to forget anybody, Sawyer, Sarah Kate, Izzy, and Aiden. Oh my gosh, can we be so proud? And one to start our march, but it is so important that we do this orderly, that we stay on the sidewalks, that we be safe, that we follow the directions of the volunteers, that we be particularly careful at crosswalks. This is an amazing crowd. Thank you again for being here. It means the world to me.
Sure